Welcome to the Red Conrad Show, the story of my life and world events how I see them. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe. Let's get this going. Hello, everyone. I just tried to make a recording that I stupidly fucking didn't save. So I'm gonna try to do this again and hopefully make it shorter this time. I don't know how long the other one was, but I'm on a little bit of a tangent. That being said, alright. Now, as many of you know who've been following the show all along, and those who haven't been, please go back into my older episodes, get caught up with where I am in the story of my life. Anyways, I've went through a couple years of hell, ended up losing everything, ended up homeless, um, and then made a choice to upgrade my lifestyle to that of van life. Because, quite frankly, um, the nomad lifestyle is a little bit more affordable, a little bit easier, and allow me living the van life. One, to be able to travel while I work, visit my family. Um, and more easily be able to deal with my situation. Easier for me to do van life than remain fucking homeless until I got enough money in the bank to get another home. And like I said, van life will allow me the flexibility to travel, follow my work, so I can go visit my family I haven't seen in a while. And like I said in previous episodes, I'm getting work lined up and down the coast, so I can follow the jobs, visit my family in between the jobs, and go up and down the coast every year. Um, I'm giving myself a couple months to finish doing what I got to do to my van to get it travel ready, and finish taking care of what I got to take care of locally. And then I'm going to be going to visit a friend a little bit south of me, and then I'm going to be heading up north, following the work and visiting family. That being said, as those of you who've been following my show know that since I started this a couple months ago, I've joined groups across social media of both van life and homeless. I follow a few people across social media, both in the van life category and the homeless category, that admit they're homeless, mention how they became homeless, um, and they discuss their day-to-day life and how they're getting through it. And I gotta say, fucking ignorance abounds, man. There is still stereotypes that have been, pushed upon on society decades ago that people still believe. And as one person stated in an article I recently read, that he believes that the stereotypes are there because most people are scared that homelessness can happen to them at any moment, and they don't want to realize that reality because they don't know how, if it was to happen to them, how they would get through it and get back on their feet. And so, out of that fear, they literally deny the homeless, how they became homeless, um, what kind of help the homeless needs to get back on their feet again, all that crap. And I can't agree with them more. And some of the comments I'm seeing on these people on these posts by these people, both van lifers and homeless, um, is truly fucking ignorant. For starters, let's get one thing straight for everybody in traditional society. Those that live a nomadic lifestyle, or in recent years, the van life lifestyle, since van life seemed to have become the umbrella term to cover all of the nomad lifestyle. People that live that way chose that. Okay, their vehicle, whether it be a van, a schoolie, RV, box truck, whatever they converted into their home, that is their home. They're not homeless. They're houseless by choice, not homeless. The vast majority of them do in fact hold jobs and do in fact work. They travel the country following the jobs, whether it be working on farms, working on campgrounds, what have you. A lot of others have remote jobs and can literally work from wherever the fuck they are in the country. And then there's a whole bunch more that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s that work their whole lives, stocked all this money aside. So between their retirement money and their Social Security, they're going into van life for retirement. That's their retirement plan. Travel around and see the country for the last, 20, 30, 40 years of their life. They deserve it. It's a way of life. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean you should fucking allow your ignorance to blossom and bash these people and clump them in with the homeless population. That being said, let's talk about the homeless now, because there's a lot of sheer ignorance I'm seeing amongst the comments. These homeless people that are out there sharing their stories, sharing how they wound up homeless, being brutally honest about it, and how they get by day to day. For starters, anybody can be homeless for any reason. Believe it or not, the larger population of homeless people are those who lost their homes either due to lost jobs, natural disasters, um, rent going up 30 to 60%, literally from one month to the next. Like, for argument's sake, just for simple math, let's say your rent normally is $1,000 a month, and then your landlord tells you starting next month, rent's going up to $1,600 a month. Now, most people can't afford a fucking price increase that high, that quick. All right, between inflation and other costs of living all going up all at the same time, while unfortunately pay is remaining the same, and people can't afford shit like that all at once, that quickly. So they end up losing their home. People that live in areas prone to fucking wildfires, prone to tornadoes, prone to hurricanes, can lose their homes to natural disasters. These people that lose their homes to natural disasters, lose their homes to sky high rising cost of living, due to lost jobs, they are the majority of the homeless. They're not lazy, they're not addicts, they're not severely mentally ill. So that stereotype needs to end. Yes, unfortunately, the majority of the homeless that one sees happens to be the addicts, the severely mentally ill, and a little bit of the lazy. And that's because the larger majority of the homeless hide that they're homeless, because they don't advertise it. They're out there working their job, making money away, doing what they can to get back on their fucking feet, get back into a new home. Those that are homeless due to loss of a job are busting ass, looking for a job, filling out applications, following up on those applications, doing interviews, and then once they land that job, they're working that job and banking money away so that they can fucking get into a new home. They're by no means fucking lazy. Another thing that people are ignorant about is that people seem to fucking think that one's addiction or one's mental illness that they didn't take care of is why they're homeless. That's not always the case. It might be the case for a small percentage of homeless people, but it's not the case for all homeless. There is a lot of homeless people that are homeless that are not addicted to anything when they first become homeless. Homelessness, after a certain amount of time, that they just can't seem to get back on their fucking feet, whether they can't find a new job or different shit they got going on. Not to mention the extra levels of stress that homeless people have to deal with that people in traditional society don't have to deal with, such as how am I eating day to day? Where am I going to sleep every night? Right? Once someone goes through that for a certain amount of time, most people can break down. They just can't do it no more. So unfortunately, some people turn to drugs or alcohol to help them deal with that shit. Now, you help these people get into rehab, go through rehab, help them get into a job. You'd be amazed just 1 year later, 2 years later, how far that they'd come. I know people that lost everything, were homeless for a while, fell into addiction, and got the help that they needed. They worked with an organization that funded their rehab for them. They got clean, and within 5 years, they had their own very successful business. 5 years being clean, their own successful business, and now they got a wife and kids and a business. So you'd be surprised where that little bit of help, how far that can go for somebody. And then now let's address the mentally ill, because as those of you who've been following my show know that I was diagnosed when I was younger with a few different conditions. Well, there are people that do have mild mental illness. By mild, I mean that it's there. They have mental health issues, but taken care of properly, they're still able to function in normal society. They can still work a job. They can still shop for themselves. They can still take care of themselves. All right. Um. Now that person out on the streets for an extended amount of time, really struggling, extra high stress levels. After a certain amount of time, these people, you know, and then after that, the loss of the ability to afford the medication, the loss of ability to afford therapy, could all that plus the added stress of being on the street could amplify their mental illness and make it worse to the point of where now you're seeing them and they look like they're completely batshit crazy. Now you get them into some kind of housing that provides the medical attention they need. They might be able, to get their mental health back down to a stable um area where now they still have their mental illness, right? Because a lot of mental illness is a lifetime thing. It's not curable. It's culpable. So through housing and medical with the medical attention that they need, within a couple of months, it might work its way back down to where you know once again they can land a job, hold down a stable job, save some money up, and get into housing that they can afford themselves out of their own fucking pocket. And the same is true for people that weren't diagnosed with mental illness. You can have somebody that was never diagnosed with mental illness before in their life. Maybe because of scenarios in their life, they went to a therapist just to talk about the situations they're dealing with, and the therapist determined that okay, you're going through some serious shit. You're suffering emotionally, but mentally speaking, you're fine, right? After being on the street for so long, even somebody like that could end up developing a mental illness because it is a lot of added stress. You people in traditional society have no idea what the fuck the average homeless person has to go through and deal with emotionally, mentally, and physically every single day just to get by, just to fucking survive. What the homeless person's got to do to make sure they can fucking eat, to make sure they can bathe, to make sure they can have some place at night they can sleep safely. It's a lot of fucking stress on somebody to deal with day in and day out. You don't get a fucking vacation from that shit. There is no day off from that shit when you're homeless. And that's what a lot of people don't seem to fucking realize. So, you'd be amazed what just a little bit of fucking help can do for these people. And I dare anybody listening to this right now, find an organization in your local area that deals with addicts or deals with the mentally ill that are homeless. Try to get a homeless person to work with them, or them to work with the homeless person. Tell them, around about the area where the homeless person normally hangs out at. Have them go down there themselves to talk to them. Try to convince them to take the help. And if they take the help, try to make contact with that person again a year from that point, or 2 years from that point, and see how much they've changed, how much better they are, how much more confident about themselves they are. All because of that little bit of help you provided for them. And that would be no money coming out of your pocket either. All you did was either you yourself, or through the organization, having the organization do it themselves, was convince these people to accept the help, whether it be rehab or housing with proper medical attention. And that little bit of help could completely change these people's lives. Like I said, I know people that were down and out, lost fucking everything, and through accepting help from other people, they got cleaned up. When they were cleaned up, they got offered a job. They took the job. They were thankful to get it. Worked their way up, got themselves into their own house. They were paying for themselves. They got themselves out of the government assisted housing. And a couple people that I know went as far as even starting their own business, and now they have a very successful fucking business. They got married. They got kids. Completely different people than they were when they were fucking homeless. With all that fucking stress and the mental health issues and the addiction that they were dealing with while they were homeless. Completely different fucking people. Like, unless you knew them when they were homeless and watched them go through the rehab, go through the new job, go through bettering themselves, unless you watch from every step of the way, you can look at them now and look at them from back then, and you'd swear up and down you were looking at two completely different fucking people. All right. So please, let's end the fucking ignorance. Please educate your fucking selves. All right. Now, yes, like I believe I said earlier in this episode, unfortunately, the majority of the homeless one will see in their area is the addicts, is severely mentally ill, and a bit of that will be your lazy people. But that is not the entirety of the homeless population. The vast majority of the homeless are out there doing what they got to do, trying to hide the fact that they're fucking homeless. They're working. They're making money. They're stocking that money aside. They're trying to fucking do better for themselves. They're trying to get back on their fucking goddamn feet. Please, let's end the fucking ignorance. And let's realize that, yes, most of society does deny the homeless even exist to a degree, or at least the majority of the homeless that fall in the working homeless category, they deny their existence because they fucking don't want to realize that it could happen to them at any given moment. Most people in this fucking country are one natural disaster away or one fucking crisis away from ending up on the street themselves. And most people are scared that happening to them, and they're scared of, if it does happen to them, how are they going to get out of it? They don't know how they're going to get out of it. And I can say from experience, you don't know what you don't know. You'd be amazed, put in certain situations, how strong mentally, emotionally, and physically you are until you get put in that situation. After that initial fucking breakdown of like, holy fuck, I'm homeless. Holy fuck, I lost all my shit. And then the next realization is, holy fuck, the vast majority, if not all, of my friends were not fucking friends, because they all fucking turn on you all of a sudden, because now you need fucking help. So you're turning to those that you thought were friends. You're turning to those that you helped in the past. Now that you need help, all of a sudden they don't fucking know you. They want nothing to fucking do with you. You're in this by yourself. You're all fuck alone. After that initial fucking breakdown happens, your mind starts churning with all these fucking ridiculous fucking ideas. Some of them extremely far-fetched. Some of them a little bit more reasonable and logical. And most people, between 6 months to a year's time, are back on their fucking feet again. And that's a fucking fact. So, knowing that, looking at homeless figures now climbing, as of 2024, we were at what, 18% national average homeless. Knowing that most people do in fact work and do in fact manage to get back on their fucking feet within 6 months to a year's time, and the homeless population is still climbing. What does that say about the cost of living? What does that say about, you know, inflation? Because the cost of real estate, the cost of food, the cost of gas, the cost of insurances. So please, let's end the stereotypes, end your fucking ignorance, do the research, can decide to be that help somebody needs, and find a local organization that deals with addicts or deals with the severely mentally ill, the homeless people, and try to get that organization and pick a homeless person and try to convince them to work with that organization and watch the transformation that person fucking makes. And when that person ends up back on their fucking feet, you get to feel good for yourself because, one, you're no longer ignorant. You made friends with a formerly homeless person, and you can feel good about yourself because you help that person find a resource they might not have known existed, and through that resource, can you help that person get back on their fucking feet? And that person, if they know, if you spoke to them yourself, that person will be, forever thankful for you because you provided them to the resource, to the help that they needed to get back on their fucking goddamn feet, so they can get you wherever they wanted to fucking get you in life. And an extra an extra positive of doing that for somebody is hopefully that will truly kill your ignorance, so you can stop bashing that what you don't understand on social media, because hopefully the fact that you just did provide that help to somebody, you'll now lose that fear in yourself of, a holy fuck, if I lose my job, or if my house burns down, or if my rent skyrockets, or whatever happens that I end up on the street, you now know that no, you're not stuck there. You're not going to be stuck there. there is resources out there that can help you get back on your feet. Because through helping somebody through one of those resources, you got to see yourself that resources are out there. It might be hard to find. There's areas where resources are extremely fucking limited and extremely hard to find, but they're there. And by helping somebody find that resource, you just realize firsthand that those resources are there. So should you end up homeless yourself, no, you're not stuck there. And like I said, according to shit that I've read, on average, homelessness happens to a living crisis, whether it be a natural disaster, loss of a job, rental increase, whatever. Most people like that, which would be the majority of homelessness, are only on the street for 6 months to a year before they end up having enough money in the bank to get back into a new home. And while we're on the subject, some of those people do end up deciding they've just adapted. I mean, I just saw it, my third, fourth story now in one of the groups I'm in last night, that somebody was homeless for a couple months, was living out of his SUV. I forget what happened to his house, but it was some ridiculous shit that most people wouldn't realize could happen, but it happens. Wildfires happen, tornadoes happen, hurricanes happen. I don't remember what his story was exactly, but he was homeless for a while, living out of his SUV, and he posted that he managed to get up enough money after a couple of months. He saved up enough money to get back into a small apartment, and that he chose a small apartment on purpose because he had gotten used to living in his SUV, and he adapted to the whole, the less is more mentality. So he got a very small, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, apartment, and he said that after only 3 nights, literally in that apartment, he's starting to miss the SUV, and literally said that the apartment, 1 bedroom apartment, he said it's literally got like a living room with a kitchenette, which is a small kitchen, not even a full size kitchen. A living room, small, a small bathroom and a bedroom. That's it. And he's saying that he feels it's too big, and that he was thinking about going back into his SUV, and he's gonna transition to van life, and he started asking people in the community, you know, in relation to the size of his SUV, what type of van. So he has the extra storage room and the ability to stand up. Because you can't stand up in an SUV. What kind of van people recommend that he invest in. So some people that lose everything, end up homeless, do I refer to it as upgrading. But anyways, transition to van life. Which, like I said, van life is a choice. Your vehicle is your home. You're houseless, not homeless. So that's another massive confusion that people have about van life and homelessness. They confuse the two. Granted, the line between the two is separating because a lot of homeless people are making the transition into van life, whether it be a permanent transition or a temporary transition. They are transitioning into van life as a way of um, dealing with losing everything and making it easier for themselves emotionally and mentally to deal with it. Some do it only temporarily until they can get back into a physical home. Some people decide that they like the van life so much that even when they can afford to go back into a physical home, they just decide to stay, in the van life. But all that being said, like people have no idea what a homeless person deals with, the amount of stress they deal with every day, day in and day out, and the amount of bullshit they go through just to fucking survive. In today's day and age, with the amount of information that's literally at your fingertips, to continue to show and spew such fucking ignorance, it really fucking astounds me. And, it's for that reason that I'm not ashamed to admit, my current living situation. I'm not ashamed to admit that I lost all my shit and there was a spout of homelessness. I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm gradually making the transition into van life. And I say gradually because there's still things I gotta do to my van to truly make it a home. So until it's there, I'll accept the homeless title. There's still some work I gotta do to the inside of it. But anyhow, because of the fact that a lot of homeless people are making the transition to van life to make it easier for themselves emotionally and mentally, even if it's only a temporary thing, and they're going to go back into a physical house eventually when they can afford to. Van life and homelessness is two completely separate things, two completely separate communities. So those of you that are confusing the two, your ignorance is really fucking showing. And those of you that are making the automatic assumption on decades-old stereotypes that if you're homeless, you're an addict, you're severely mentally ill, or you're fucking just lazy, or fucking ignorant. Truly, truly fucking ignorant. Because, yes, those people do exist, but I done told you, I'm not going to repeat myself. How the larger percentage of the addicts and the severely mentally ill get to that point being homeless. I also told you that overall, the overall addict population, lazy population, and severely mentally ill population of the homeless, believe it or not, is the smaller percentage of the homeless population. The counted homeless population on the census, I can guarantee, is at best a guess. There's probably a substantial larger amount of homeless that go uncounted every census because they're doing that good of a job to not allow themselves to be seen or to be found out that they're homeless because they're busting their asses to get their life back together and get back on their fucking feet. And they're doing their damnedest to make sure no one realizes they're fucking homeless. So they just don't get counted at all. So please, let's end the stereotypes. Let's end the fucking stigmatic bunch of bullshit. Please kill your ignorance. Do the research for yourself. Can, like I said, pick a homeless person and help them. Help point them to an organization if they're an addict that can get them into rehab and help them get a job when they get out of rehab. If they're mentally ill, help them find an organization that can help get them into housing with the medical attention they need. So maybe they might actually be able to get stable enough they can land a job again, get back on their fucking feet, and you'd be amazed what that little bit of help can do for these people. End the ignorance, end the stereotypes, educate yourself. Thank you all for listening. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Red Conrad Show. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember, if you're not listening on Spotify, Spotify is the home of my subscription-only content. So any stories you want to hear that have part one or other missing pieces on the free side, you gotta hop over to Spotify and subscribe to the subscription content to get the missing pieces of those particular stories. I will see you in the next episode.